Just let me pee in peace. Don't come and stand next to me and say, hi, cheers, nice dick you got there, mate, or sup. If you want to greet me, do it when we wash our hands, not when we are both holding our urinating appendages. Seriously, why? Story 1. Proper tier. No eye contact. No acknowledgement of existence whatsoever. Moderate tier, momentary eye contact, nod, that's it. Not cool tier. Eye contact, saying hi, dude, why? Tier. Periodic eye contact throughout. What's up, chief? And questions about your day. Leave me alone or I will cut you tier. Strikes up a full conversation. Slaps their hand against the wall over the urinal, glances down and over a few times. I found that if you really want someone to leave you alone while doing your business at the urinal, just blast out an air biscuit. It shuts them up 9 times out of 10. Story 2. I'm probably very drunk and at a very crowded venue where there is practically no privacy and it's very loud. That being said, I still don't know why I would do it. Story 3. This reminds me of the comedy bit, how come it's okay to name your Willie, but it's not okay to name the fella's Willie next to you at the urinals, by Joe Wilkinson. Story 4. I am a male European, born and raised. Greeting someone at the urinal or in the washroom, for that matter, is strange to me. My American friends have never done it either. I don't really know why it is not done, but it is not done. Jamaicans also do not seem to converse in or near bathrooms. This really depends on where you are located and what your community is like. I adapt my behavior to what others initiate. If someone wants to say hi in and out of the washroom, I am fine with that. If they want to completely avoid others, that is fine as well. Story 5. Just extroverts doing extroverted things, I guess. They might not even mean it to come across as weird as it does. But hey, it's not for me to understand their minds, is it? Story 6. As a veteran, I can say that the men doing this might also be veterans. That stuff tends to stop being a big deal when you have 5 minutes to walk 300 meters to a portable toilet, and there are only 5 of them for 180 men. You tend to cram 3 at a time in there. It just doesn't matter, and no one cares anymore. Story 7. It's like when dogs defecate and they look really on edge. We're at our most vulnerable when our genitals are exposed, so it makes sense to form a bond and ensure the survival of the group. It's basic human instinct. If ever they're going to attack us, it's when we're relaxed and exposing our genitals. Story 8. Several seconds or a minute isn't that bad. I've spoken to a few guys, and none of it has led to inappropriate behavior or unwanted invitations. I think it's common sense not to have a long conversation in a toilet, but otherwise, so what? Story 9. I remember one at school. 10 or so urinals in a row. He was at the far left, so naturally I took the far right. He stopped midstream to shimmy over and said hi. Story 10. One time in college, I was drunk and using the restroom at a bar. Someone came up next to me. I think I was just looking down at the water, but maybe I'm a peeper or something. I swear I've never looked before, though. Whatever happened, I saw the world's largest penis fall out into his hand. I was drunk. I have no idea exactly how I reacted. Probably slowly. Whatever happened, he saw I saw. I'm pretty sure it was obvious. If this were a pornographic film, it would have ended differently. But instead, he just laughed and said something like, yeah, it's huge. I said, whoa, yep, or something, zipped up, and walked off quietly. I'm only glad I was drunk, so I can't actually remember anything other than the intense embarrassment of that moment. Story 11. For the record, I don't do any of the things at urinals that people on Reddit complain about, but none of them are a big deal. If someone comes and urinates right next to me and doesn't leave a space, who really cares? If someone says something to me, so what? All this just reads like insecurity and homophobia to me. Story 12. I have never done this and it has never happened to me. Is this seriously a thing that happens? I have talked to people I know while using a public restroom, but never a stranger except to compliment him. But other than that, never. Story 13. Whenever I'm super drunk, I like to ask other men if it's normal that it burns when I pee. It doesn't burn when I pee. I don't particularly like talking to strangers, and I normally hate when people talk to me at the urinal. So the answer is probably alcohol, I imagine. This gets a laugh most of the time, but I wouldn't recommend it at all. Story 14. I don't do this with people I don't know, but if I do know them, I'll strike up or continue conversations sometimes. I grew up in an open-door household, so using the restroom while someone was showering was really common and way worse than chatting while urinating. There was a line to the bathroom when I had parties. We guys would urinate off the balcony into the grass or chat while one guy is urinating and waiting your turn. I know some people find it strange, but it's never been unusual or anything. Just friends. Story 15. I had at a gay bar make eye contact, blatantly look at my privates, look back up and go, "Nice privates." I am not gay. Still one of the best compliments anyone has ever paid me. Story 16. One of my biggest peeves is when people do this in an office bathroom. I straight up ignore people now if they try to talk to me. The last thing I want to do is talk about a work issue while I am holding myself. Let me use the bathroom in peace. I do not mind a simple hello if we are walking by each other, but that is about it. Also, please zip up and put your belongings away. It should not take you over 20 steps of walking all over the restroom and even out of the restroom while you are fiddling with your zipper. Lastly, probably what really annoyed me earlier last week. A guy was done with the urinal and it was the only one open. He turns around, takes 2 steps, and just starts working on his zipper and belt very slowly. Another person is talking to him about work issues, so they are just standing there talking while I am standing there awkwardly waiting for him to take a couple of minutes to finish zipping and answering the guy's question. At the end of the day, the only person I want to have a conversation with when my hands are occupied is my wife. Story 17. I don't get it. When I was young, I had older men look at me and say hello. Now, when I go to bars, men do the same thing. Please stop. This is why I use the cubicle when there are other people in the men's room. Story 18. And another thing, why are there urinals side by side without privacy dividers? I mean, it's probably about $20 to install. I'd say 90% of urinals have no dividers between them. I don't want anyone looking at me, and I don't want someone else in my peripheral vision. Story 19. The only men I see doing that are at work, and they are men who are high up in the company. Feels like it makes sense. It says, I am not here to document your peeing for disciplinary reasons. Fear not. Story 20. I've always wondered about the differences in this. I will guess that people from rural areas, who are more likely to have experience urinating outside with others, are more inclined to address those who cannot handle it. Story 21. So last year, there was this kid who made sure everyone knew he was gay, not just because he would tell everyone, but he would also talk about classmates being attractive and say really inappropriate things that, if guys said about girls, would get us in trouble. This kid would constantly go right next to you if you were at a urinal, just so he could try to take a peek. The first time he tried doing this to me, I hit him in the nose, and he reported me for a hate crime. Story 22. So one day when I was working in an office, I went for a bathroom break. Back then, I used to be uneasy in the restroom and couldn't really do what I needed to if anyone was there. I get to the restroom and luckily nobody is there. I go to one of the 2 urinals, unzip, and relax. The door opens, and an older employee comes in and stands right next to me. He unzips. We both stand there for about 10 seconds. I start laughing at the thought that he maybe also has trouble letting go with company. After a few more moments, I zip up and leave, still giggling to myself at the absurdity of the situation. As I leave the restroom, the thought hits me that maybe the other employee thought I was laughing at him for some reason. How awful. I hope everyone who has problems with that eventually overcomes it. So ridiculous. Story 23. Never thought about it that way. My apologies. I'll wait until washing hands next time. If I am being honest, I just like getting to know people, and my brain incorrectly defaults to thinking they think of being at the urinal as much of a not a big deal sort of thing as I do. Wow, that really is one of those things that only starts to sound weird to me once I actually put it into speech or onto paper. Story 24. Nothing wrong with eyes straight forward or down towards one's respective urinal and a greeting. Obviously, it's weird if someone looks right at you or your genitals, but if you, presumably as a man, can't handle someone saying what's up while peeing, you may have serious anxiety issues or a very small penis, possibly both. Story 25. I used to do this a lot before I realized it was a thing to some people. Typically, I would be drunk at a bar or something. More than half the time, the other guy would respond back. Usually, we'd end up joking about something in a way that was fun. Sometimes dudes got really nervous, which I'm learning in retrospect gave my little attention deficit hyperactivity disorder ego a quick hit of stimulation that it loved so much. I stopped doing it mostly because I quit drinking and chilled out as a person, but at this earlier part of my life, this is just what I did. If you got within 6 feet of me, I was starting a conversation with you. It was fun. It was what life was about. In retrospect, I can psychoanalyze a mix of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, trying to be liked, afraid of being alone, uncomfortable in silence, all wrapped up in an alpha male gregariousness that was generally highly encouraged in our world. The guys that didn't like it were weak anyways, so forget them. It was fun to have a laugh at their expense. It took me a series of misfortunes and a couple of low moments to get me to even consider seeing the world any other way. Story 26. Because it's really funny. It's actually hilarious to just start talking to a guy who's standing there using the restroom. And you better believe I stand right next to a guy at the urinals and start talking to him, even if there are plenty of other urinals available and no one else in the bathroom. And that's just how it is. And hey, what are you going to do about it? That's why. Because it's so amusing and no one ever tries to stop you. That's the honest answer. Story 27. I usually try not to, but I work in a factory where sometimes things get pretty busy. If I want to be able to acknowledge my coworkers at all and have anything resembling a normal human conversation that isn't about the product, the culture there has established that the bathroom is generally the best place for that. If you wait until you and your intended conversation partner are washing your hands, it's already too late, or you just end up awkwardly hanging out around the sink while people wonder why you're not getting back to your line. It's so normal there that it is actually weird when a new person comes in and gets freaked out by it. That being said, even we have standards, and the etiquette seems to be that it's fine to talk to someone who is peeing or while you're peeing, but not while you're both peeing, and certainly no eye contact until everything is put away. If they're in a stall, you leave the poor man alone. Story 28. I've never understood this macho nonsense. Don't get me wrong, I won't start the interaction because I know a great many men are all uncomfortable acting human when they're using the bathroom. That being said, if some guy walks up and starts platonically chatting with me while I'm using the restroom, I will absolutely reciprocate. I don't give a darn. Secure and confident, everyone. Story 29. I'm not allowed to politely say hi. What the freak? You can't keep focus on your phone and say a regular hi back for a mere second? What's the issue, officer? Because I don't see it. Story 30. Is this a conjured memory or something that actually happened? Because I've never heard of this happening to anyone outside of maybe a gay bar or something. Story 31. Someone's in here and sorry are the only things allowed to be said in the bathroom. A parent talking to their child under the age of 10 is the exception. Story 32. Had a boss who loved small talk all day long. If you got caught at the bathroom and he walked in, he would pick a urinal next to you and say, "Super your first name," and chat. I don't know. It was weird. But he was super friendly. Story 33. Basically for my own amusement. It's usually something like, who here has been with Jessica before? And why does she insist on having Oreos during sex? I usually get laughs for these stupid kinds of things. It's also hilarious seeing the reaction of fragile ego guys. Story 34. You're not a man if you don't do this. If you are a man and you don't do this, then you're a heretic. A man must greet and whistle while peeing, like Deadpool did in the Deadpool video game. Story 35. Once I went into the bathroom at work to pee, and this old guy was there standing far back from the urinal. He goes, "Ah, it just feels good to take it out sometimes." I left there quickly. Story 36. I feel like it's just politeness. If I walked into an empty room and met someone there, I would just say a quick hi, just as a courtesy. I'm not interested in starting a conversation or checking out your junk in the urinal scenario. It's not that serious. Story 37. If it bothers you that much, go pee at home. It's really not that big a deal, so you are holding your penis. Every other guy, and now some girls, have one too, so it's not some super secret thing. We also have different sizes, shapes, and lengths of hands. Do we make a big deal out of hiding those? Story 38. I joke with my friends about nice car, bro, and see if they want to share the cost, jokingly of course, but I would never do that to a stranger. If someone did it to me, though, I would crack up. Story 39. Creep urinal story time. On the way back from a work trip, we stopped at the gas station of a small town. I walked into the bathroom, and there was a urinal and a stall. The stall was occupied, but the urinal was free, which was perfect for me. 3 seconds in, a voice said from the stall, "So, you're taking a leak, huh?" Freaked out. But as an 18-year-old that was polite and non-confrontational, I replied, "Yup." Silence for another 3 seconds. Then he asked, "So, how's your?" I zipped up and got out without saying anything or washing my hands. I made it back to the truck and told the story to the guys I was working with. They were switching between laughing and saying, "What the heck?" Then the guy emerged. I knew it was him because this bathroom had a door around the corner on the outside. He's at least 70 and gets into the car with the person I presume is his wife. And just because someone might ask, yes, I was scared.